Welcome to Strip Cover. We squeeze the bigger picture of literature. I'm Adrian Ford, and we are here against my wishes. We are here for an Adrian Reacts to comments telling Adrian to continue the Harry Potter series and why he should do so. This video is a long time coming, but I wanted to have a real point to do this. I wanted to have a real time set out to do this. So we're doing this between Harry Potter books. That's part of the reason. Another part of the reason is I don't want to do this, so I kept putting the video off. We have 3 pages of comments here I'm going to do my best to get through. If I don't respond to everything, I'll make an additional video for it. We're going to start here with Silly Sally, who says, I think part of the problem is that Adrian says he's looking for facts to convince him that Harry Potter is good. There are no facts to convince him. There are only opinions and personal experiences. I personally love these books, and they are the reason that I read every day and that I am an aspiring writer. It's weird to me that someone actively hates these books, just like it's weird to me that people don't like chocolate. But I'm not going to say poo-poo on Adrian because he doesn't like this thing that I like. Honestly, it's commendable that you've continued to slog through something you dislike. Well, Silly? I'm not sure if perhaps Sally is your last name. You're absolutely wrong. So there is not, perhaps, strictly speaking, facts to be had to convince someone that something so subjective as literature is good or better or worthwhile. But, on these subjective scales, there are multiple continuum by which we can grade things to assess whether one thing is semi-objectively better or worse than another. Character development in the Harry Potter series, yes or no? Oh no. Villains in the Harry Potter universe, yes or no? Semi. I will give you villains on the Scooby-Doo level of villainy, but anything above that, through 6 books at least, I've not seen. These are the reason that you read or write that you read and want to read every day and consider yourself an aspiring writer. For me, the answer to that question is the Berenstain Bears. I don't think that I would sit down and claim that the Berenstain Bears are on the same level as Hemingway, as any Emily Dickinson, Jane Austen. I don't think that the Berenstain Bears are on that level. But when I was younger and my mind was not quite so firm as it is these days, I looked at something like that and the storytelling involved, and I was just immersed. So if you would like to consider those things which inspire a younger version of yourself as great literature, you are more than welcome to do so. I, however, will not be swayed so easily. Let's see, is there anything else in there? Oh, it's weird to you that someone doesn't like these like someone doesn't like chocolate, but you're not going to say poo-poo on Adrian. I would rather you say poo-poo on Adrian. Give it a real go, you know. This series is subpar. The characters involved are garbage. The storylines involved are garbage. The books are written paint by numbers, if you will. I'm going to continue to insult everything that you love about the series, and I'd rather see you work up a little bit of piss and vinegar. Moving on. This comes to us from Monse. Adrian should keep reading Harry Potter because suffering will make you a better writer. Not true. Not true. Not all types of suffering are created equally. Were I to walk out in the middle of the street and get hit by a car, that does not automatically make me a better writer. In fact, it may rid me of the ability to write completely. And if we're continuing on a non-PC route, as we are with me insulting people who love Harry Potter in a video titled with the Harry Potter brand, look what happened to Stephen King. Stephen King went through an immeasurable amount of suffering getting hit by a car. Everything I've read from Stephen King post-accident It's not The Shining. It doesn't have it in it. Carrie's not there. So I don't know. While I agree that suffering is oftentimes for the best, in a non-sadomasochistic fashion, suffering through something so dull as this, I fear, is just suffering. Moving on, we hear from Peter Clark, the writer. Here's my entire argument again. I'll tell you right now, I don't like the sound of that. I don't like the sound of that because it makes it sound like, and I haven't looked through these before this. This is my first exposure to these comments. I wanted to keep this a rather live interaction with them. But I'll tell you why I don't like that. I don't like the sound of that. Sounds like you put a lot of thought into this, Peter. And I'm going to have to crush you. So, here's my entire argument. Again, I'd be curious to know what Adrian thinks of my Marvel angle. Disappointed? I'm looking forward to this epic Adrian reads arguments video. Good. Good. How to sell these characters to Adrian. Harry Potter encompasses a strong feeling of family and friendship. I'm out. I am out. I don't care about family or friendship. You can keep these arguments and put them where the sun doesn't shine. The main characters all love and care about each other deeply, and the books capture the feeling of being with your family on a holiday or during a storm. This is disgusting. It's warm, it's cozy, and the entire idea of Hogwarts is like a Christmas summer camp getaway. That sounds terrible. That sounds miserable, Peter. Christmas and summer camp? How did you grow up? Enjoying those things? When you read it, you get a sense of camaraderie among peers and siblings in a very specific way that is more fun than it is literary. Well, there's your problem. Think of it like a modern-day blockbuster. Iron Man is a likable character that doesn't change very much from movie to movie. I disagree. But is surrounded by spectacular things and fights for what is good. A big summer movie is usually pretty simple like that. Good guys versus bad guys. Harry Potter doesn't delve much into the gray area of life, which is the thing that is most conducive to great literature, but it isn't conducive to creating relatable characters. I seriously disagree. That readers can trust in throughout a franchise like a friend. Overall, my theory is the series' ability to capture an authentic feeling of friendship is why I believe it is so beloved by people. Although an unfortunate byproduct of that is the narrative takes less risks in order to keep the ship steady, just as Marvel is less likely to take risks with its stories and characters. Peter, I no longer consider you a friend. Building friendships, first of all, I mean, who cares, right? Friends are less dependable than family, who are far less dependable than yourself. So, screw them. Let them go. Don't bother with it. Where was the line that I peed in my pants a little bit? Or is it conducive to literature part? Where is that? First off, Iron Man changes greatly between films. Where is this here? You've got a big stupid comment, Peter, and I'm trying to find the stuff I want to talk about. Harry Potter doesn't delve much into the gray area of life, which is the thing that is most conducive to literature. True, but it isn't as conducive to creating relatable characters. That is where I disagree. Delving into the gray area of life is exactly what creates relatable characters. It's what creates real characters, not cartoon characters, which is what the Harry Potter universe is filled with. These cartoon characters. When you read something like, I don't know, we'll go with The Great Gatsby. None of us live those lives. No one watching this show lives that life, except for maybe Steve Donahue. But no one watching this lives that life. But it's the gray areas, it's the little parts in that literature through which we identify with these characters. And it's why that book has lived on for so long. It is in a small moment that we connect with the idea of Gatsby as he's looking out of his window onto the party, hoping that she'll be there, that humanizes Gatsby. It's not the idea of fortune or fame or any of these things. It is the small moment of he's throwing this illustrious party, and he's the most nervous one there. That's a small moment. That's a gray area. But it's how we connect with a bigger-than-life character. You fail, Peter. You fail. And you better participate in the 12 days of Litmus this year in 12 videos as opposed to 1. But we'll get to that later. A couple months from now. Dr. Mustopheles, Cow MD. My argument is this. Okay, first off, I don't need your attitude. Okay, we need to bring it down a level, calm down a bit, and talk to me. Person to person, not argument to person, okay? My argument is this. If Adrian could read more than 2 chapters of a children's book a week, okay. So it wasn't just me picking up on attitude. The attitude's in here. And we're going to have to deal with it. If Adrian could read more than 2 chapters of a children's book per week, okay. It's very painful because it's so bad. It's not just that I can't make it through 2 light journeys into literature. It's 2 poorly written, poorly executed, miserable attempts at writing. Okay? My argument is this. If Adrian can make it through more than 2 chapters of a children's book per week, all right. I don't appreciate the tone of voice. It would not have taken 3 years. That's probably true. You don't need to convince him it's good, Dalton. You just need to convince him that it's his fault it's taken so long. Okay, so Dr. Mustopheles, you're off the emailing list. I don't have an emailing list, but I will make one. I will put you on it, and then I will remove you. Joao, Joao, I'm probably butchering that with my heavy Midwestern tongue. Almeida says, I don't think that Dumbledore is romanticizing the Merope situation. You're wrong. You're wrong. I read that line as his being ironic to show the delusional Merope is, to show how delusional, Merope is. Which is a point he makes again at the end of the story when Merope thinks that her love potion has made Tom fall in love with her, and we are told a couple of times in this novel how this potion works. It's still rape. We also have Harry Potter compare a love potion to an unforgivable curse, which should make any reader take the claim that a love potion is romantic with a grain of salt. You're wrong. Moving on. It's a Reading Thing says, since when is Adrian a quitter? This comment is not fair, and let me tell you why. Imagine lining up every day, stepping out of your front door, and just being kicked in the crotch for 10, 15, then 20, then 25 minutes. If on that 26th minute, you decide, you know what? I don't think I'll take another. You decide, you know what? This, getting kicked in the crotch business, was a bad idea the whole time. I don't know why so many people enjoy it. That would not make you a quitter. It would mean you were the intelligent one. And that's the stance I take. I am the intelligent one. So, Annette, A-N-E-T, writes, I don't know how about you, Adrian, but I spent 3 years reading a book series I hate is not something I would put on my t-shirt. No, I wouldn't do that either. Especially when it's Harry Potter. Come on, what's next? Twilight? The Hunger Games? Maybe. Life is too short to read books you don't enjoy. It's a waste of time, and you know it. No in capital letters. Next time you pick Harry Potter, I want you to realize that... Oh, don't do this to me. How every page you read represents an unread page of a Hemingway short story or Emily Dickinson's poetry. Happy endings. Happy readings. It's a low blow. That is a low blow. I will disagree slightly in that life is too short to read books you don't enjoy. I disagree with the idea in principle. Life is too short to read books you don't enjoy is perhaps too broad an expanse. Books you do not enjoy might still be important books. Books you do not enjoy might still be heavy books. Books you do not enjoy might still be books from which you derive something that you need. Books you do not enjoy might still be good books. If we're going to go back to a previous mention on this show, I don't enjoy The Great Gatsby. It's a good book. I did not enjoy On the Road. It's an important book. There are things in there that I did learn. I don't like them. But I did learn that people will read almost anything. I will. So, books you don't enjoy is this great expanse. Here's worthwhile stuff. You get to about here, this last 10%, in which Harry Potter falls. That is not important, that is not good, that is not heavy, and it's just kind of empty. It's just kind of words on page. That's what I'll say. You've got a point there. But, not in that text, but from that text, I am finding utility. I can't tell you, I cannot enumerate how many people have communicated to me or to the show that they had never thought of the terrible things in Harry Potter before I mentioned them. And they enjoy it less. So I enjoy that part. Taking something that someone has loved so dearly for so long and making them sad about it at the end of the day. Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. Moving on. Maya wrote in with the entire first chapter of her novel, which is unfortunate. I'm not reading this, Maya. I'm not reading this. It goes as such. Adrian, Harry Potter, while not high literature, I agree, is excellent. No, it's not. And I dare say a perfect example, dare you, of how to write in a way to capture non-intellectual... Perfect example of how to write in a way that captures a non-intellectual audience. All of you here who are fans of the Harry Potter series can go find Maya Good, her channel Quotidian Light, and give her some of the same grief that you've given me. A non-intellectual audience that would usually avoid novels nowadays. This is a bad argument. When it came out, attention spans were already shortening and kids weren't reading. It came out when I was in middle school. We didn't have the internet. We barely had video games that were functional on a real basis. No. That generation wasn't reading Judy Blume and Roger Zolanzi. The old children's books just weren't connecting with kids who were weaned on Teletubbies and Captain Underpants. I think you're referring to things that were post my generation. Books I read in 4th grade were now middle school books, and the ability to jump from children's literature to adult books was too big a hurdle. Get off my lawn! Harry Potter was one of the books to bridge the gap. Come on, Dalton, you couldn't have printed these out in double space so I could read them effectively? You know I'm almost as old as Maya. We're getting to crusty arguments here. Harry Potter is one of the first books to bridge that gap, moving from children's literature to adult, and pretty much created and defined the YA as a genre. This is... I don't think so. Instead of just kids' books and adult books, we can debate whether the solution was worse than the problem. But more importantly, instead of using a literary plot structure, it struck very closely to a serial TV structure. Something is always happening. They open the same way. Think Law and Order, think Blue's Clues. I don't know what those things are. Easter eggs are in various places, which was much more of a comic book trope, which creates an in-group language. Easter eggs? What Easter eggs are in this? It combined genres of fantasy, mystery, and action. So why is this important? Attention spans are even shorter than when it came out. So you're countering your own argument that this was important to attention spans by saying that it did nothing for attention spans because they just kept getting shorter. The techniques used to keep kids still for a 24-hour reading marathon when they couldn't keep still for 5 minutes, and the ability to move a book series across an audience's psychological development are all things that can help an author. Authors are no longer competing with other books. We are competing with the attention of readers with the likes of Facebook, Twitter, cell phones, and we are competing for the attention of readers with the likes of Facebook, Twitter, cell phones, and Netflix. So, a writer with that perhaps dissects Harry Potter and decides, this is shit, but she did something that works, and I want to study until I see what that is. So writers are competing with garbage-level serialized fictions presented on Netflix. So they went to a garbage-level serialized fiction, which was presented in garbage movies, and said, hey, let me dumb down everything, because that will surely solve the problem. I disagree, Maya. May be able to take those lessons and use them to captivate an audience that normally doesn't read. Get non-literary readers to stay hooked, or even to move a series from ideas that would captivate a 20-year-old to a series to a series that would captivate a 60-year-old. I can go on, but study this novel not as a book, but as a case study. Genre writers have figured out a playlist to make self-pub work. I know folks making a lot of money. Us literary authors need to understand what keeps readers reading, and then use it to create literary, well-written fiction that allows us to eat. So I think my argument at the end of this comment is going to be not that not that literary fiction needs to get easier to write, but the types of literary fiction which are glorified. Billy Collins sucks. Billy Collins is the reason poetry is dead. Not Billy Collins. Writers like Billy Collins. People who enjoy and platform Billy Collins are the reasons that poetry is dead. So I think it is not that to write literary fiction we need to find something garbage and serialized. It is that, as you say, the bridges need to be there. The bridges between things need to be there. And right now, so there was an argument. There was an argument that boxing sucks today because the best boxer alive was playing middle linebacker for the Baltimore Ravens. That was Ray Lewis. He would have been the best heavyweight fighter at the time. He was not a heavyweight fighter. He played football. That is what is happening. The best writers of today are not concentrating on writing novels. They're writing video games. They're writing for Netflix. They're doing this, that, and the other. That is all that I have time for with this video. I will save the rest of these comments for another time, but I hope to see you next time for Harry Potter.